Everybody, this is John, and welcome to the free video. I am back from China. It was a pretty amazing trip. We did a talk there, and this is a selfie from the stage. It was pretty funny. They had this part of the room filled, and over here, it was a total of like 1,600 people or something like that, but it was great. It was a lot of fun. I was in Shenzhen, and then yesterday flew from Hong Kong to Dallas, so DFW, and the trip's 17 hours. So what was interesting is I left Hong Kong Sunday at 12:30, and I arrived in Dallas Sunday at 3:30. So essentially it only took 2 hours because you gain that entire, or you're going kind of back against the clock a little bit there. So anyway, that was kind of interesting. Needless to say, the jet lag is a little intense today. So let's go ahead and look at some shorter term plays that I'm doing right now. Zillow. So on Zillow, you'll notice here there's a tree line. Okay, this thing has been hugely important. And I've been watching this because what I wanted to do is when it broke through it, I then wanted to take advantage of the first rally to sell a call credit spread. So what was interesting today is that Zillow, which the market was up really big today, and Zillow was up $1.33, but you can see that this 105-110 call credit spread continues to deteriorate. So even though it was up today, we actually added an extra $50 of premium on that trade. This is sold it when it was near at the money, so for $2, right now it's at 50 cents. And so the question is can this expire worthless, or do I need to start thinking about covering it? Well, what I love about this is that this tree line, this voodoo line, is so strong that even if this thing can rally, in my experience, it would hold below that level, possibly for the rest of the week. Okay, so I want to be careful with this. Obviously, I don't want to turn it into a loser, but that is one that I'm looking at here. And then another one here is AMBA. So AMBA, I've been watching this one. You can see that we came up to the tree line here, the voodoo line, and consolidating. When it came back down and started to gear up again, started buying some call options on it with the idea that the next time we could push through it. Now that it has, I'm looking for a move to the snow line at 76.20. So how I constructed this trade was starting off buying in the money calls, and then with the idea of legging into selling out of the money calls. So today, now that it's broken through, today I sold out of the money calls near this level with the idea that it wouldn't really be able to get through that. So if we look at this, these $65 calls that we bought a little while ago at $465 are now almost up 100%. And then today sold the $76 calls for $1.35. Now, if this thing explodes higher, that's fine. We still make the spread. But in a perfect world, what happens is that this $1.35, which is $135 per contract, actually expires worthless as that resistance level is held, and then the long option's free to go higher. Okay, but it's okay if it just explodes higher. I mean, we've already got a good profit on it, and we're just kind of tweaking it just a little bit there. And then another fun one today was Tesla. So Tesla had a volume explosion here, and once it broke through the snow line, we started taking some long trades on it with the idea that it could come up to the next snow line, which it did. And at that point, we took half of our profits, but we wanted to hold half overnight because with Tesla, if you get a high volume move into resistance, you typically gap up the next day. Now I'm doing this at 3:30 Central. The markets are closed. You can see it closed at $190.56, but after hours is already up. Looks like another $3.50. So we should get a nice gap up tomorrow, and I'm looking for a quick run into that tree line at 198, and at that point I would actually liquidate the position. Okay, and we can see this is how we constructed Tesla today. So sold once it broke through, sold an at the money put spread, okay, and then bought some calls, and the idea here is to make it theta positive. So the put spread, so tomorrow you can see there's the close at 190.57, but after hours it's already up another $4. So tomorrow our long call here should make bank. I mean, that should actually do fairly well. And then my plan would be is if we do gap up like that, the idea would be to do a tight trailing stop on the long call, which expires Friday. And then we could let the put call spread probably expire worthless, assuming it can hold up there. All right. And so all of that has been essentially focused on by these voodoo lines, which are critical levels. And you can see today in the S&P futures, it had a fantastic rally today, but essentially to the tick stopped at this voodoo line. Now I want to make one thing clear is that these voodoo lines don't change. You know, unlike pivots that change every day based on the previous day's high-low close, these are permanent. That level's been there for years. Okay, so you can plan ahead. All right, so if you'd like to learn more about the voodoo lines, I'm going to be doing a free webinar on them tomorrow, as a matter of fact, Tuesday, March 31st, 8 o'clock East Coast time, which of course is 7 o'clock Central. So I'm going to be talking about how to identify key support and resistance levels using the voodoo lines. And then of course talking about what are they? The voodoo lines are kind of this mystery. Why do they work so well? What are they based out of? Why you should care about the voodoo lines, what the voodoo lines are telling us right now. I'll talk about some actionable setups that you can use on Wednesday, the next trading day, and then my favorite strategies using the voodoo lines. Okay, so this will be a free webinar. If you already have the voodoo lines, I will talk about some trading concepts that you can utilize with those voodoo lines. And if you don't have them, you can at least learn about them and actually learn about some key trades that I will be setting up the next day. And I'll give you the levels and stuff like that too. All right, so it'll be a fun webinar. First name, email address, and we'll see you there.